Who on the St. Louis Blues has the most pride playing for St. Louis? I'll talk more about this coming up here on Locked on Blues.
You're Locked on Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked on Blues. I am your host of Locked on Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. So we're going to talk about players that have some St. Louis pride right now. Binner on Hofer. I'm going to play that audio again. And is this the team? Is any other moves going to be made, or is this a team that we're going to be seeing in the upcoming 2024-2025 season? A fun Monday, a Monday with some topics that I want you, my everydayers, to reply to. So make sure to leave a comment down below. I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I hope everybody is having a good Monday, July 22nd. We're nearing the end of July, but still plenty of time. I believe that July goes to 31 days, so we still have 9 days left of July. Today's question, it was an interesting one. Which players on the St. Louis Blues right now, not of all time? So I know we're going to say Keith Tkachuk, we're not talking all time. We're talking on this current roster right now. Who has the most pride playing for St. Louis? And why is it that I asked this question? Well, right now we have a team and I'll talk about this in a little bit, that I feel like is going to be the final team. However, with Torey Krug now being out, indefinitely, still no word on if that status is going to change. Again, it's going to be that 6 to 8 weeks of him rehabbing, and then a decision will actually be made. But when I was going over everything with Torey Krug, one thing that stood out to me last week was, again, remembering that he said the famous quote, "I want to be here and I want to wear the blue note." And it made me think about how important repping the blue note is. I mean, I am today, obviously. I know it's a little hard to see because the shirt's so big, but I'm always repping the blue note. I went to my Soul Cycle class today repping the blue note. And I think that, having pride for the team, for the city that you play for, does make a big difference. I believe that there's players on the St. Louis Blues right now that are going to be remembered as players that truly did play for the city. And who are those players that come to my mind? The first player, whether you like him or not, is Jordan Kyrou. I know that he said some things last season about Coach Berube when he was fired. However, he made it very known how much he actually does care about St. Louis. And I think that that's something that, is very special as a whole. I think that Jordan Kyrou obviously, had made a mistake. And that's okay. I think that it's okay when a player makes a mistake and they're able to bounce back. I think that it just shows that, they're human. Another player that I have that I feel like reps the city well is Robert Thomas. I feel like, again, he is another player that really has embraced St. Louis. I know that, maybe he's not the loudest, or maybe he's not like the most, outspoken type of person. But I do believe, however, that he does rep the city well. Another player that comes to my mind is Captain Brayden Schenn. Obviously, the captain is going to come to my mind. I think that Brayden Schenn has really embraced the city. And I feel like he really, is something special. Now, do I think that he is the best captain possible? I don't know. You could make your argument for Colton Parayko. But I do think that Captain Brayden Schenn, again, represents the city well. And of course, another player that comes to my mind is Colton Parayko. Now, there's other players like Boosh comes to mind. Maybe one day neighbors could be that way. But if I had to go through like, the core guys, it's the guys that I just named. And you know what's interesting? I didn't say Jordan Bennington, and it's really strange that I didn't say that. I think the reason why it didn't come to my mind right away is because he's not like the loudest guy. And I just was thinking about, things that the other players have said about the city. And I know Benner loves being here, so I'm going to actually add him to that list as well. I think with the Blues and this current team, everyone seems happy. I'll say that. Everyone seems like they want to be here, and that is the most important thing. You don't want a team full of players that don't want to be here, that don't want to play for you. You want players to actively want to play. And it just makes me kind of realize how special St. Louis is. And a player that, could potentially, I feel like, turn heads will be Joel Hofer. And I'll talk about this coming up too. But I feel like right now, those are the guys, And I could say Justin Folk, I could say Nick Leddy, I could have said them, but that's just my opinion. So, my everydayers, I know you listen to this podcast maybe every day, maybe here and there, but it's a really interesting question on who you think has the most St. Louis pride. Going back to when Pat Maroon played for us, now I know he's with the enemy Chicago, but when he played for us here in St. Louis, you could tell that he had a lot of pride. He wanted to be here, obviously, from St. Louis. So, like, who wouldn't want to be here? But I feel like you saw that in how he played. And I don't know if any of these players exhibit maybe what I saw at Pat Maroon that season. I think that it was a very unique opportunity. I think contacting the general manager of a team and saying, I want to be on your team is kind of like one of those moves where it takes a lot of guts. I can tell you that. That is not an easy thing to do. But again, I think it's different when you're actually, from St. Louis, you're actually a fan of the team and you end up playing for that team. I think that's a very special scenario, a very special situation to be in. I also was thinking about this topic because, again, just seeing all the photos of Matthew Tkachuk, who just won the Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers, St. Louis native, him, Brady, and his sister Taryn, all grew up here, and just the amount of pride that he has for St. Louis is truly something special, which does lead me to believe that maybe one day one of the Kachuk boys will be wearing the blue note and making their dad Keith very happy. I think that when you play for a city that is just such a passionate hockey city, fans always show up. It's always a positive attitude going into the season. That is something really special. And I feel like there's certain players that have embraced that. I think back to the Cup Parade. I do. I have to. I know Kyrie wasn't there. I know Hofer wasn't there, but I think back to that parade. And I just think back to, Bennington on the tricycle going around. And I think back to Colton Parayko and, how he really bonded with Lila Anderson. And she's doing really well, by the way, now, which is awesome. I think back to Captain Braden Shen with those sunglasses on. And of course, Robert Thomas just having the time of his life. And that was something special that day. And that is something that will always be special. But I think for those guys, I think having that opportunity to truly interact with the fan base like that made them maybe appreciate St. Louis more. And it showed them how great it feels to win in St. Louis, how honorable it is to wear the blue note and to wear it with pride and passion and all in between. I think that there are some hockey organizations out there that don't have as much pride as we do here in St. Louis. And again, that's okay. I understand maybe some newer teams or maybe just some teams that don't have that kind of hockey culture. And yes, I am thinking of a couple teams, but I'm not going to call some teams out just because I don't want to be like mean about it. I'm just saying the reality. There's not as many teams these days in the NHL that do have the hockey culture, the hockey passion, you might call it, that we have here in St. Louis. And that is okay. But It is a really interesting question, a question that I want you to think about, a question that I want you to take some time out of your day and, say, hey, who is the most passionate person playing for St. Louis on this current Blues team? And if you have a player that comes to your mind, maybe somebody that I didn't even name, comment it down below. I am curious what you have to say. Now, obviously, we can always do an all time, but I want to really focus on this current team since this current team is the team that we're going to be talking about all this season, all this year. And I just really want to focus my energy on this current team for the 2024 2025 NHL season. So, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of your comments on who you think on this current St. Louis team is the most passionate for playing for St. Louis. I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Gametime. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. One thing that I love about Gametime is literally the fact that I can see exactly where I'm sitting before I even purchase my ticket. So it just makes it just so easy and fun to do. So the Blues, not the Blues. See how I'm just like Blues, Blues, Blues. The Cardinals ended up having a doubleheader, by the way, on Saturday because on Friday it got rained out against the Atlanta Braves. So the Braves won the first one, but the Cards won the second, and they won the series by winning yesterday. So right now they are in Pittsburgh taking on those Pirates, but they finally come back home on Friday, the 26th, to host the Nationals in the series. So honestly, that's a game that I would say obviously take the Cardinals, maybe go there. Or what you could do if you want to see them play is they're playing the Rangers at home too. So a couple home stands. So definitely use Gametime if you want to see the Cards in action. Okay. So this is what you need to do. Okay. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So in March, I was basically able to have the opportunity to talk to some of the guys on the Blues, which I thought was really cool. They came to where I'm currently living, and I was in the locker room after morning skate, and I was able to speak to a handful of players. I think it was like 8, honestly. I was just going in a circle, going up to the guys, and just getting some really cool content. Well, one of the players that I wanted to talk to is, of course, our starting goalie, our G1, Jordan Binnington. I wanted to get his thoughts on the season, on the defense especially, and Joel Hofer. I feel like the Blues' defense last year just kind of looked like Swiss cheese at times, and I know that's an opinion that I have. Statistically, I know that they were not the worst defense, and I want to make that very clear. I am very aware of that. I know that. I understand that. But as a goalie, I feel like he might have had a different perspective on the angles. I mean, there are a lot of factors that go into a defense, and I can understand maybe from his viewpoint, he might see it differently than I do watching on TV or in person at the game. I think that, having Jordan Binnington just be so honest with me and just so real about what he thought is something really special. So here's the thing. I think that at the end of the day, this St. Louis Blues team has a defense now that gives me more hope, honestly. They made some moves. Is it the best defense? No. But Luckily, the Blues are in a very fortunate situation with having a strong goalie Tatum. They have Jordan Binnington and they have Joel Hofer. Now, I know I've talked a lot about how my confidence level of these two feels good. And again, they both represented Team Canada in the Worlds, which I thought was super cool. I keep on forgetting that Joel Hofer isn't like that young. I mean, he's 23, which I always thought seemed a little bit like young to me. In the 2021-2022 season, he played 2 games and it split 1 win, 1 loss. In 2022-23, he played 6 games. Okay? And he ended up getting pulled for 2 of them, but again, 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 OT. And then last season, he played 30 games, 27 starts. So he did go in a couple times. 15 wins, 12 loss, and 1 OT. I think overall, though, when you look at, his career here in St. Louis, 38 games played, 35 starts, 19 win, 14 losses, and 2 OT. Not bad. He has a save percentage overall, .911. Last season was again .914. Previous season was .905, and his first season obviously was not that great because he didn't play much, but .880. He honestly is somebody that I feel like could be huge. In 2023, he was the AHL second All-Star team, and then in 2020, WHL West second All-Star team. So he is a good player, the Winnipeg native. It cracks me up so much that he was with Winnipeg. He was drafted in 2018 with being the 107th overall pick in the 4th round, 14th pick. So again, Hofer has something special because he has everyone's favorite, Jordan Binnington. And he, again, is just someone so special. Binner is 31 years old, and I understand. Oh no, but at the end of the day, it's really not that old, okay? For goalies, it's a little bit different. I mean, he's had some really consistent seasons. I mean, overall, he's .908, but again, don't forget he's played literally 280 games. So, played a lot of hockey. So, before you get all like, "Oh my god, it's okay." Probably the season that percentage-wise he didn't do the best in, which wouldn't make any sense, would be like 2015 to 2016 because he only played 1 game. And then if you go back to 2022, 2023, it was .894. He played 61 games, 27, and 6. So yeah, maybe not the best, but at the end of the day, he is a really strong goalie. So here's the audio of Binnington talking about the defense and Joel Hofer.
All right, so obviously this season the Blues have been, a little back and forth, but you seem to be the most consistent thing about this team right now. How do you feel like the defense has been in front of you?
I think just really strong, getting better as we've gone along too. Playing breaking up well, and they've been holding it down very well, and even the forwards have been doing a good job blocking shots at this point, and and the penalty kills a big factor too.
And even a guy like Joel Hofer, right, who's your backup, he's been having a good season. Do you feel like, he's learned anything from you, or is he just kind of excelling on his own?
He's a really good goalie. He's a good kid, willing to learn, and at this point in time in your career, learn from everything, and I think he's done a great job doing that. And it's been fun so far. It's been fun.
Cool.
Awesome. So as you hear, Binnington spoke very high on Hofer and just about how he's been picking up things. So we love to see it. All right, I'm going to talk to you about my friends. I have a lot of friends, I realize, at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning a championship is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only. Available to U.S. customers. Is this the team that we are going to see on opening night? Honestly, I think yes. Um, I know there was some rumors about a big trade and something might come. But realistically, I feel like this will be the team that we are going to see. Listen, if something were to happen, I feel like it would have happened by now, maybe by last week. And I know I said something will happen. I just felt like something was going to happen. So the fact that nothing happened did quite surprise me. I was not expecting that. But I think at the end of the day, I have to really trust what's going on. I have to trust the process in a way. I have to trust what Doug Armstrong is doing. I need to trust what the management is doing, what Steiner is going to be doing. I have to trust it all. This is a hockey team that has so much potential, and it excites me a lot. I will talk about, maybe lines that I expect to see, but I do think, however, this is going to be the team we're going to see on opening night. I don't know if they're going to make a trade at this point. Okay. I really don't. It confuses me a lot because I think that a lot of us were just expecting to maybe see a trade happen, a trade go down. And because it didn't happen and because nothing went down, um, it's a little confusing, right? Like it's a little bit like, okay, well, this is not what I expected. But again, that is okay. I feel like at the end of the day, um, this Blues team, they're not a bad team, okay? They have a lot of potential, and I am excited about them. I am excited about what I can see. I'm excited about all of it. I think that as a fan base, we need to realize that we have a playoff potential team, okay? We have a potential team that is good enough, kind of. Listen, I don't know. All I know is that this isn't the worst team out there, okay? So, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited, and I am just hoping so badly that this team proves me right. This team does what it needs to do, and we are gonna be able to see a fun contending team. I will talk to you tomorrow like always. And don't forget St. Louis. Say it with me. Let's go Blues.